The general theme I'm hearing is you're all talking about a fair, transparent, a robust appointment process in the hiring of the disgraced former chair of the SDTC, Annette Verschieren. Clearly, it's a failure, and it's seen by Canadians as a failure. In fact, it shattered the trust that Canadians have in our public institutions. And on the issue of failure, I want to talk about another colossal failure that your office had an interest in, and that was the hiring of the new Human Rights Commissioner, Datani, and his anti-Israel posts that he made under a pseudonym during his grad school year. We know he was placed on leave, and then he ultimately resigned. Your office is responsible for vetting all federal appointments. Your office has acknowledged that a quote-unquote administrative oversight led to an incomplete background check. Now, to me, that means, whoops, we screwed up. Clearly, someone in your office did not do a thorough background check. On the minds of Canadians is, what is this going to cost us? When reporters asked the Attorney General, the Minister of Justice, Varani, his spokesperson replied, no comment, when asked whether or not Datani was paid during his leave or received a compensation package after resigning. So if the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice doesn't want to respond, I'm going to ask you, was Datani paid during his leave? And if so, how much?
Mr. Chair, I would just mention that we were here today to talk about SDTC, so I wasn't super well prepared to address this question, but Chair, if you're willing to allow it, I will do my best to respond.
Absolutely, yes, please do.
Mr. Chair, we did at PCO express regret that there was not appropriate, that this was an administrative oversight in checking the names, as the member has pointed out, and that we have taken measures to ensure going forward that there is clarity that that all names provided will be sent forward.
Ma'am, if I could stop you there, please. My time is very limited, as you know. You're not a first-time participant in committee processes. The question was very simple. Was he paid during his leave, and how much?
Mr. Chair, I would reiterate that in terms of personal information, I'm not in a position to divulge personal information about compensation provided to any governor and council appointee.
Chair, I'm going to be asking for your intervention again.
Yes, make her answer.
I'm just going to pause the clock here, Mr. Brock. I don't want to take your time as I do when I do intervene. Again, I'd ask you to be as forthcoming as you can. This committee is seized with this, and I would expect that there could be. I'll hear in a second, Ms. Khalid. I'd ask that you be as forthcoming as you can with the minister, with the members' question. Should you refuse to do so, the committee could well delve into this further and request, which is a polite way of saying, call for that information to come forward one way or the other. I believe Ms. Khalid has a point of order. I'm trying to strike a balance here, Ms. Khalid. I'm not the witness. The witness knows why the witnesses know why they're here today to provide answers. It's not up to me to call for that answer, but I am urging them to do so. But I will hear you, please.
Thanks, Chair. I do believe, as the witness correctly pointed out, that she's here to speak to a certain topic, and the answers that are trying to be bullied out of her in this instance have nothing to do with the topic at hand. And I would request, Chair, that you obtain the decorum of this committee on the topic, because if we're going to go down this path, then, there's so many other topics that we can ask our respected witnesses here today. I really think that we should stick to the topic at hand, and that is SDTC. We have spent a lot of time on this, and if we're going to go down this path, then I don't think that is helpful to what we're trying to achieve here, Chair.
So, as you know, I give members wide latitude to ask questions when officials are before us. Mr. Brock is certainly well within the bounds of his rights. This committee is seized with several investigations. So, of course, Ms. Khalid, that applies to all members. If there are questions outstanding for witnesses, they're not bound solely by the subject matter of the day. That's been a long established precedent. So I'll turn back to the witness. If you're able to provide direction or an answer that is more forthcoming to Mr. Brock's. Let me just finish my thought, then I'll hear you. That is more forthcoming. The committee would certainly appreciate it. I know Mr. Brock would as well. But before you answer, I will hear Mr. Brock's point of order.
I'm asking that Ms. Khalid withdraw her derogatory commentary, that I provided a bullying question to this particular witness. I asked it in a very respectful manner. I pressed it, but that was not bullying.
So while I think this committee has conducted itself admirably today, I will hear from Ms. Khalid, and hopefully we can move on.
She's not going to apologize.
After that. Ms. Khalid, you have the floor.
Thanks, Chair. My comment about members opposite bullying witnesses was not specific to this witness. It is specific, well, it's general in terms of how I have watched and observed them behave towards all witnesses in this committee. So there's really nothing here to withdraw.
She's ridiculous.
Mr. Brock, why don't we move on? I think the committee is to his. So, well, I'm going to start the clock here. I would turn to the witness first, who has.
Thank you.
All right, so you have the floor, please.
That was ridiculous.
Mr. Chair, unfortunately, I would reiterate that we're not in a position to divulge information of a personal nature surrounding any compensation paid to an individual governor and council appointee.
Yes, you are.
Let me just pause the clock. You've got a minute and a half left. So, Mr. Brock, you can you down this line? You've got a minute and a half left, or the committee can deal with this. We are going to committee business after the witnesses, and propose steps for the committee to take. To me, your question is within the bounds. We can compel an answer.
Yes, make her answer.
But I would think.
Make her answer.
I would say go back to questions, but it's your time, of course. You can act however you like. But I'll turn things over.
She doesn't have privacy rules.
Canadians want answers as to why the government saw fit to hire an anti-Semite, not doing any appropriate background checks. Canadians want to know how much taxpayer money went to this Mr. Datani while he was on leave. He resigned in disgrace. Most people, when they resign, do not receive a severance package or a compensation package. I understand in this case, the Government of Canada saw fit to offer him a compensation package. Canadians want to know how much, and I'll be asking the Privy Council Office to provide details of how much the compensation was and how much he received while on leave.
You have 40 seconds.
She has to answer the question. Parliament has
provide me with that
supreme ruling.
Mr. Chair, I will just continue to reiterate that I would not be in a position to provide personal information. I would say to the question on leave that that was what was in the public domain, that the individual in question was on leave. That would have been approved by the organization itself. And that is really the utmost that I could offer, Mr. Chair.
No.
Briefly, Mr. Brock, keyword brief, please.
Yeah, and I will iterate the supremacy of Parliament and the supremacy of this committee, which trumps and outweighs any privacy concerns that you are articulating, and we will be pushing for those figures.
Point of order, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Brock.
Khalid, shut up.
Ms. Khalid.
Here comes a fruitless point of order. That's probably not a point of order.
Will. This is with respect to your obligations as a chair. The Green Book cites the obligation of a witness to answer all questions put by the committee must be balanced against the role that public servants play in providing confidential advice to their ministers. The role of the public servant has traditionally been viewed in relation to the implementation and administration of government policy rather than determination of what that policy should be. So I think, Chair, that this, as I have said before, this line of questioning is absolutely against what the convention is within committee practice.